Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. This is Rambeard and I'd like to talk about 3 denizens of Stratholme today. Singer Forreston, Postmaster Malone and Frascrb. We'll start off with the least interesting one and work our way up. Singer Forreston was such a jolly artist. He'd go around Stratholme and entertain its inhabitants with his tiny piccolo. We can see him hanging around in an inn just out of town in the Culling of Stratholme dungeon together with Frascrb and Malone. When the Scourge took over Stratholme, Forreston was unsuspecting and died a to be presumed horrible death. He was luckily not resurrected as an agent of the Scourge, but his spirit was unable to move on to the afterlife. There, in Stratholme he wanders, ever playing his songs. We can go into the burning town and kill him, taking his piccolo for ourselves, which we can use to annoy anyone and everyone. Other than that, he dropped some pretty colourful gear as well. On to Postmaster Malone. He too had a life in Stratholme, delivering mail and whatnot. We see him in the inn outside of Stratholme as well. Unlike Frascrb and Forreston, he is not participating in the conversation downstairs however. He is lying in bed upstairs, but whether he was sleeping or slowly dying, we may never know. If he was dying, it might have been his early death that kept him from being turned into a zombie, because he too became nothing more than a spirit after the culling of Stratholme. If you run around the blackened city, you can open mailboxes. If you do so, a set of undead mailmen appear and start attacking you. Eventually Malone will show up and starts bashing you as well. My favorite of his lines is, "You just got Maloned," which he yells out if one of your party members dies. He drops a full set of cloth gear that only he drops, the postmaster set. The entire NPC is actually a reference to Carl, the mailman Malone, a famous NBA player. We see this reference again in the Mace Malone drops, Malone's Slam. Now, on to the last guy, Frascrb, owner of the famous Frascrb's premium tobacco shop. Such a man this is. If we enter his shop before Stratholme was purged, we see a tiny robot he owns. The little fellow tells us Fras is out of town and might not return soon. He too is chatting in the inn outside of town, discussing life and whatnot. He did make his way back into the shop though before the Scourge invaded. We know this because of the Frascrb quest in current day Stratholme. Apparently Fras did not intend on anyone touching his tobacco, and so he stayed in his shop as the Scourge came banging on his door. You must know that the tobacco was very valuable indeed. Big names like immol'thar, High Lord Fordring, and even King Charanos himself all enjoyed Crb's tobacco on their visits to Stratholme. Because Fras tried to hold his own against the Scourge, he was actually raised as an undead after his inevitable demise. We are sent to gather some of his tobacco that might still be present in what's left of Stratholme, but as we find the last box, filled with cigars, the old Fras appears and starts attacking us. He clearly doesn't want anyone touching his tobacco, even in death. We kill him and grab the tobacco for ourselves. Somehow we can actually find his Cigar Cutter, all the way in Dire Mall. It is stored in the treasure of shen'dralar, but how it got there? I hadn't a clue, so I tweeted CM Law to see what's up with this most massive cutter of cigars. The man told me that Crb just gets around. Well, the shen'dralar are pretty darn powerful, as they are some of the last highborn left alive. The magic is strong, and as they're desperately trying to keep immol'thar locked up inside Dire Mall, some magical flaws might have caused Frascrb's Cigar Cutter to end up being teleported to Kalimdor. Crb is a very obvious reference to Alex Frascrb, the creative director of World of Warcraft. I guess he likes his smokes. In and around Stratholme you can find some of his other items as well. Frascrb's advertisement, his smoked cologne, and his postbox key. But that's it for this NPC. I hope you enjoyed this small video on these silly denizens of Stratholme, and that you'll think twice before smashing their brains out when leveling an alt. Have a good one, and goodbye.